everybody. It's Thursday.
It's Thursday, and welcome to this week's edition of The Night Bite.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Emily, and thanks for being here with us tonight. So Josh is laughing because, he was just, I think we're distracted. We're thinking all about the show tonight, and we're thinking
I'm on
about
caps locks. Look at that.
Check out in the comments. He's typing everything backwards, We are traveling this coming weekend, and that's really exciting. And we have a really exciting guest here tonight. So, everything is just, we'll roll with the punches. That's how it goes. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with that, we normally start out with kind of a fishing report. But man, last weekend feels so long ago. It's like, what did we even
Years.
do? We actually went to two different places.
How's it going?
So we started out in Anago.
Yep.
Well, the Anago area. It's actually Langley County. Is a little bit out from there, but we have a nice little spot that we go and we fish with one of our good friends out there, and we make it kind of a yearly trip, I suppose. And we took this trip maybe like a weekend or two earlier because we are busy these upcoming weekends. But we did still find fish.
Jim, how's it going?
It was a little bit of a transition from that summer pattern to that fall pattern, but we worked it out and we caught some really great fish, and that was kind of similar to even
Neighbor Bill. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, I could never get you on the show though. But someday that was kind of what we found in the river as well. We were back home, we were on the Wolf River, and fish seemed to be a little bit in that transition from their summer patterns into the fall patterns. So, again, fish were kind of scattered and you kind of had to work for them. But, we found some good fish out there, and it was a good time.
Yeah. I mean, it's that time of year when you don't know. Well, the other thing to that is you don't know what you're going to pull up, right? We're doing the same techniques we've been doing for crappies all summer. We caught over a half dozen different species, so you just never know what's going to be on the end of the line. We also hooked into at least 3 fish that were over 30 inches up in Langley County, and just fishing crappies. So you just never know, and that's part of that fall transition. Everything's getting hungry, everything's kind of moving around, and it's change. We're changing.
Well, and one of the things that we did, kind of both days to, I guess, increase our odds of catching fish is really pay attention to our graphs. Because although some fish were in the weeds or some fish were still, in shallower brush and all of that, a lot of these fish were transitioning to slightly deeper waters or even quite deep water. And we could mark them on the graph and we can see them. One of the things to note is a lot of lakes still have a pretty hard thermocline. And so with that, if you note the thermocline, try to fish right above that, because that's the other thing that we're seeing is those fish are laying right above that thermocline. So just some really great tips if you're out fishing this weekend.
The other thing is this time of year, especially on those heavy traffic lakes with a lot of that recreational boat traffic, that, for the most part, is done. So what that means is that
pretty nice, unfortunately nice.
Well, what that means is that you should start keeping track of your bait colors too. So a lot of that brighter stuff that might have been working this summer, you might want to tone it down to something a little bit more natural. Start with white, start with black, and work your way around that way, because that water gets a little bit cleared up because the boats stop and the bite gets better.
That's all true. I can't wait for it. And I hope to take some of our own advice this week on fishing, because we'll be in a different location than normal. So
yeah, can't wait to hit relax.
Even a new species.
And look silly fishing smallmouth.
Or look amazing.
Look amazing.
I guess we'll see how that goes. I don't know. Maybe we'll find the crappies out there.
I heard that's you always tough. Look amazing when you're catching fish.
Okay. Let's move on. Let's bring in our guest. Well, and before we do that, actually, if anybody has any comments, any questions, anything along the way, post that, and we would love to talk about that with you guys as well. So,
and if you missed this, you can always catch it on YouTube. We have our YouTube channel, same thing, Crappie Junction, and follow the Instagram, because we post all kinds of pictures. Emily likes to post putt pictures. Anyway, here we go.
So let's bring in our guest. Welcome to the show, Adam.
Hey, Adam.
Hey guys, how's it going? Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is
Yeah, thanks for being here. So Adam, for people who don't know you or relevant, can you tell us about yourself and your company?
sure. Well, as is the bit, it started a long time ago. But no, I'm from central Minnesota. I live in Foley. If anybody knows where St. Cloud is, that's not too far from St. Cloud. And grew up in a small little town. And a long story short, really, I got introduced to an optical company, and I was shipped down to Illinois and did some sales for them in Illinois. And then they were bought, and then they moved me to Iowa, and then they ended up moving me to San Diego, California. So a question that will give you an answer of yes always is calling a 24-year-old on I-80 headed east in the nice storm, do you want to move to San Diego? The answer will always be yes. So I moved to San Diego. My wife was finishing up school. My girlfriend at the time was finishing up school at St. Ben's, and then she moved out afterwards. And I worked there for a few years with that company before starting my own company with some friends of mine where we made eyeglasses. So we had a company called Perfect Optics where instead of just selling for a lab that produced this stuff, we made eyeglasses there. And that went really well. We sold that in 2011, and I moved back home to Foley, right where I grew up, where my wife grew up. And so I now live in, this is my great grandfather built this house, and we remodeled it, and I bought it from my grandparents. My in-laws live about 1,000 yards that way, and my parents about 3-4 miles that way. And so we got a lot of help, and we have a lot of fun. And so I was working for that company for about 6 years, and then I started to get kind of glass ceilinged with such, but by living here. They wanted me to move to Sacramento, and I just wasn't going to leave family. I wasn't going to leave all that stuff. And so I got to thinking about, what could I do? What could we do where we could tie what we understand professionally with what we enjoy personally, which for me is fishing and hunting. And I was telling you off air, I mean, bow hunting, whitetails is like my major addiction and all that stuff. And so we started looking into the optical community, or rather into the optical space. And we started to recognize some gaps in what the premium companies are providing out there relative to what we felt like we could ourselves. And so we got to work on it, invented a couple things, and we created an optical solution that's centered around science and around light and around color to enhance the visual experience for the outdoor person. And we're like, hey, all right, let's do this. So I had a vision for what we wanted to do, did not have a strategy, did not have a plan, but I had too much respect for the company that I was working for that purchased my first company. And so I left with no plan and no strategy, which, by the way, not very good financial advice. Just not good. But what has been always true and what's good business advice, I think, is to have a vision. And so we started to build that strategy and that plan around that vision. And that's what we're doing right now. And it's been really fun. It's been really fun. So we're starting to find the wheel, starting to turn a little bit. So it's good. So that's kind of what we do. I don't know if that helps kind of set the framework for what we do, but we currently are making premium sunglasses for outdoor use. And I don't think we'll stick to that. We have some other little things that we're working on, some things that are just starting to get to market, some things we got in the hopper that are not optical related, but that's our core business. And that's our core competency, if you would.
So then what makes, let's say, your sunglasses, good sunglasses, better than like run of the mill, whatever you pick up cheap somewhere?
Sure. I mean, there's a couple things that come to it. So, I mean, some of it has to do with there's varying levels of quality when it comes to different key components to eyewear, in particular outdoor eyewear. Polarization is a big one, right? So polarization, you can get polarized lenses, off of iGogs and other companies that you can find at gas stations and stuff. No dig on them. They have a very nice business model and it works for them, and it serves a very important community. But there's a difference in the optical quality of those polarized lenses relative to some of the stuff like that your premium stuff has, right? Your Costas, your Smiths, your Relevance, stuff like that. And then the other part of it is the actual material that the lenses are made out of. So most common is polycarbonate. Polycarbonate is the most common optical lens. It represents in the industry about 70 to 75% of all of the lenses are made with a polycarbonate material. And that's no different in the sunglass line. In fact, it's probably a little bit more. It's more into that 85 to 90% because you get that impact resistancy, right? That poly will give you. The problem with polycarbonate is that it denigrates your optics about 30%. So our eyes have what's called clarity, optical clarity. The term for that is called, or the scale of it is the Abbey value. So the eyeball, the human eye has an Abbey value of about 45, and polycarbonate's in that 30, 29 to 30 number. Then you have glass, right? So on the other side, so let me back up for a second to your specific question. The two main reasons for the difference in the lesser priced ones are going to be the quality of the polarizer and the quality of the lens itself, the polycarbonate material most often. Those would be the two main features.
Okay. I mean, that is the thing, is sunglasses can be really tough to shop for because they can get so technical. So, I mean, it is actually really interesting to hear from somebody who, you know, really knows all about it, because otherwise people are left at the store, you know, I guess like basing off of whatever they think looks best.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt.
I have a really hard time picking out glasses. I don't know. I feel like everything looks weird on my face. That's a weird thing to say.
Yeah, that's a whole nother element, which is the fashion side. And this may not come as a surprise, or this may come as a surprise to people, but fashion is not really my core competency. So I have worked hard at that, and we have some solutions to how we help solve that for people. But you know, that's the thing is, you know, it's one thing to have an amazing optical solution, but you know, you want to look good, right? And it has to feel good, and it's tangible. I mean, it touches it, you know, it's not just the visual experience. And so, but specifically to the difference in the quality there, on the optical side, it's probably those two main areas. There's some other little nuanced things. And then certainly on the frame side, those frames are, you know, they're mass produced. You don't get near the quality. You know, being Chinese made has a really bad connotation. I've learned through understanding of supply chain. That's a bit of an ignorant view of things. I mean, there are a lot of really crappy US made things too. But there are really some good Chinese things made as well. But there is a mass production piece to this that is consistent throughout supply chain, that is consistent with those frames. And that's another thing. They just don't hold up like your Costas or your Oakleys or your Maui Jims for the most part, right? So those are some of the reasons why they're going to be less expensive.
Yeah, a little bit more disposable sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they serve a place. I mean, look, we're in the premium side, and that's great, and I love it when people invest into that side of things. But I'd be a fool and a liar if I didn't respect that there's that part of it that needs to be served as well.
Well, there's something to be said about some people, and myself included in my former years, about having your sunglasses be able to be disposable. You know, I was really hard on stuff, and you know, slamming them in doors and running them over with cars. You know, $15 is a lot easier to swallow than $200.
Yeah, no, for sure. And now what I would offer is that, you know, depending on where you're at, and what we tried to do to augment that a little bit is that our view is very simple. If you've made that investment, we've made an investment back in you. So we believe that you shouldn't have to. Now, if you lose them, you lose them. But I mean, if you break, dog's eating them, James. Hey, James, you won't believe this, but I actually have him on my list. I'm like, I got to get a hold of James. His dog ate him, and so I got
oh, that's like real life. Oh my gosh, that's so
real life situation. James, you've been on my mind, my friend. No lie. We will take care of those folks, because life happens, and you made that investment. We want to make that. So we have a if the frame breaks, you know, because you sat on it, or we had one guy crush it with his lunchbox. People sit on them, or you know, different things like this that just happens. You know, we cover that for the life of the product, because we just think that you know, it should hold up to those. It should hold up to life. Now, scratches and dogs eating them. No, I'm just kidding, James. Things like that. You know, when you have little scratches and things, I think you should just wear them, James. I want to that you're wearing. No, don't cover like the normal wear and tear. But if you broke it, Josh, or you know, whatever the case is, you know, we have a pretty good customer service angle that we want to take care of you. You know, so.
Well, and James, definitely let us know if you enjoyed them prior to your dog, and then let us know if your dog enjoyed them. Awesome. So people that wear glasses, are we like SOL, or is there an option for that?
Yeah, no. So we're really excited about that. So, you know, COVID hit and it disrupted everything. For us, you know, we were on a path. We had just finished the National Wild Turkey Federation, had the best month ever. We were gaining all kinds of energy. This hits, shuts down, not uncommon to most people. What we did is we took the opportunity to do a couple things that I really wanted to build out. One of them was a program called Reload. So what Reload is, and I've been outlining that we're really optical first. We're an optical company first. And then the fashion piece, we're kind of building that stuff out. In fact, these two boxes right here are new frames that are coming. And those are the final samples. I just approved them today, actually. So we'll get those here in the next few months. Excuse me, but to build up that fashion. But we've developed this program called Reload. So if you have a frame that you really like, and you just don't want to take the gamble on the online sale bit, or you know, something that we have doesn't fit you, we will reload your frame with our lenses. And so you can have that optical experience that so many have enjoyed, but not have to worry about the fit, the feel, or whatever that way. That was one program. The other program that we built out during COVID was our RX program. And so we now have an RX program. And in fact, my history, when I was talking about Perfect Optics, when we were building that out, we built out a sport line of production. And we actually built Costa's RX program, Wiley X's RX program, Rudy Project's RX program, Canon's. And we did some other stuff with like Smith and some stuff, but didn't really build theirs out. But those other ones we built out. And then they took it back when it got to scale, and then they would sell their companies or whatever. So I'm very familiar with how to use and work with, you know, Sport RX stuff, and through that experience. And so we built this out, and it's actually done not far from where you guys live. If I understand, you're just west of Green Bay. There's a laboratory in Green Bay called Cherry Optical, independently run optical laboratory in Green Bay. Adam Cherry runs it now. His dad Joe started it. Great people. They are our producers for RX lenses. So yeah, Emily, if you had a prescription sunglass option or need, we can solve that. We do have limitations because of its wrap and stuff. We do limit it right now to ±4 total power, but it fits 95% of all prescriptions. And in fact, I've never had to turn anybody down as I think about it now. So RX is absolutely an option.
Thanks.
That is actually really cool, because, you know, as a glasses wearer, there's a lot of times where I just avoid putting on sunglasses, because even at this point, I have old prescription sunglasses, but it's not any longer this prescription. So like going back and forth is like really hard on your eyes, and, you know,
really hard on the boat.
Why is that hard on the boat if I wear sunglasses or not?
Because we hit things.
As if
like rocks. Like, what are you hitting?
Well, it's a river.
It's a river.
You're gonna hit
things a lot. No, my gosh. But it is really nice to have something that you know that you can depend on and that you can go back and forth to. So actually, that's super awesome.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. Again, that was one of those vision things, right? We're like, okay, there's the vision. We can pull this together. And it was, quite honestly, it was a lot harder to put together than I thought it was going to be. Some of the stuff that we're doing on the, what we call mirror coat, basically, that technology has some complications. In order to get the Chameleon Lens, which is really what's gotten us any attention in separation from other sunglass companies, is this product called Chameleon. And it's the mirror there's some complexities in how that mirror is created. And so there wasn't very many lab opportunities to have them do it. It took a little time to find that right right group. And we really wanted to work with an independent company. And what's fun, it's amazing how things work out. Not only is Cherry Optical independent and all that stuff, which is nice, but Adam is like an avid bass fisherman, and like he's like that's the only thing he cares to do. In fact, we were there meeting with him like a year and a half ago, and all he would talk about is fishing rods and reels and all this stuff. I'm like, dude, can you make these glasses? I really want to know, can you make these glasses? Well, let me show you this fishing rod, and this is a whatever. So
Sounds like our kind of guy.
Yeah.
I know. That's what I was like, and I had to like fight the urge to talk about it because I was like, we got to get this solved. So it's so cool. That's awesome. Yeah.
A few questions here. Does the RX program cover a bifocal?
Our buddy
Yes.
Paul from YouTube.
Yeah, Paul. I think if I'm seeing how this works, this is like the coolest system. So Paul, we in the exact definition for bifocal. No, we do not have a bifocal program. However, we have a progressive multifocal program. So we do single vision, and we an elite single vision digitally surfaced. It's really excellent, and we have a digitally surfaced elite a progressive lens, and so it's a no line bifocal. So if you met multifocal in that manner, then the answer is absolutely yes. And we've had great success with that product actually. And so yeah, if you have a progressive lens, you have an ad power, you need to see up front, or I mean up close rather, or in distance, that is a solution that we can solve today.
Well, and actually, that's a really interesting thing to bring up, because not to steal the show for eyeglass wearers, but there's a lot of people that are affected. A lot of times people are just so apt to getting the single distance vision. But so often you are tying hooks or rigging things up, or, putting line through a tiny little spot. And so that is really an interesting point to have a progressive lens like that.
Yeah, and what we're doing, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but what we're going to be doing as well, just for the viewers that just they put in the back of their head, we're going to have a third option here. Probably I got a lot of moving parts right now. My guess is it's going to be sometime first or second quarter of next year, where it'll just be the bump. So if let's say you don't even need power out there, this is about where I'm at right now. So I'm 43. The wheels are falling off the wagon right now, and they are falling fast optically, visually for me right now. And so I can see in the distance well, but I got to hold the menu like this. So they have the company that we pull all our design stuff from is releasing. They don't have it released yet. They're releasing a product that will allow us to do a bump just in the bottom part of the lens. And so you could have, a spot where you could just use it for tying knots. You could just use it for getting hooks out of fish or your finger or whatever. And so, so we're really excited about that product, so that you don't have to have just the progressive and all the stuff that goes on with the progressive. You can have that option as well.
Cool.
That is excellent. We have Tobin asking about the dollar amount for the prescription wear. Is that indicated like on the website, a prescription cost versus regular, or?
Yep, it's on the website. It's very simple and very clean. For the single vision, it's $395. That includes the frame, our Chameleon Lens, the technology, the whole bit that goes along for it. And then if it's a progressive, it's $495. So very good value when you look at the cost of prescription lenses. One of the things we wanted to do is because there's another whole sort of like chip on our shoulder. Some of the eyewear stuff out there is a little bit over the top. It seems like in some of the costing. So we're trying our damnedest to get this into people's hands, or rather on their faces, inexpensively as we can. And so, but that's what they are: $495 for progressive, $395 for single vision.
That's actually pretty excellent, especially considering that this really is a tool to use. I know that you can certainly talk about hunting, but certainly on the water, that is a huge aspect is to be able to cut that glare. How often in spring can you see beds, or in summer you see fish moving about through the shallows, or as a boater, just the safety of making sure that you're not seeing people in front of you, or boats or tubers or anything like that. It's amazing really how much sunglasses have an impact on you as an outdoorsman.
Yeah, well, 100%. And what is really one of the other things we talked about, the material. Well, we didn't really talk about it, but we have a different material on an excellent polarizer. But one of the things that's super important in terms of its differentiation between what we do and what others are doing is what I call our dynamic lenses. And that lens is currently the Chameleon Lens. I'm testing another dynamic lens right now that's in the brown, or excuse me, in the gray scale. But the Chameleon Lens currently is in the brown scale. And what the Chameleon Lens does is it actually, I think I have one of them in here. But what it does is
is this coming from the new box?
This is coming from the new box, yeah. The new box. But what it does is it's not just polarized, this lens, Chameleon, which is standard stuff we talked about a bit, but it's also photochromic. And what that means is that it will change, the molecules they change based on the amount of photo light, so or UV that's in the environment. And so they will go from, I was just going to show you, this is actually our hunting lens. This has seen battle already. I had these on during opener, but these are, you can see how much light transfers through this, right? And this is the Chameleon Lens in its natural state. You get about 35% light transmission, and it's almost olive green. Yeah, it's like an olive green color. And this will change from this olive green color to a full brown polarized color, right? Your typical brown polarized. And there's a couple of neat things about that. One is that the brown scale, when you look through brown as a color, it enhances the reds and the greens that are in the environment. So everything just feels brighter, right? Without the intensity on your eye, having to squint, that kind of bright. It's just brighter. So I'll give you an example. This is no joke. Today I was driving from archery country because I was picking up my new bow, my Hoyt RX5 carbon. This thing is money. But picking it up, and we had a storm just drop on us. And I felt safer driving with my Chameleon sunglasses than I did without them, because it was so dark, but there was an enormous amount of polarized light in the environment because of all the raindrops and stuff, right? And so I put them on and everything brightened up, and I was driving through this. I'm sure I look like an idiot, but I'm going to get pulled over doing this sometime, I'm sure. But it was brighter, and I was able to be a safer driver because of it. That transitions to being on the water. So it's early morning, it's foggy, it's raining, it's in the evening, it's whatever, and you can't wear your sunglasses because it's just too dark, right? So you don't get the benefit of polarization. You can't see that rock, you can't see that submerged tree, you don't know where the fish are at, or whatever the case is. That goes away, or at least it is improved in a major way with our Chameleon Lens. And then as the sun comes up and there's more light made available, it changes with you, and you have that protection during the bright sunny days as well. So that is one of the major differences between what we do, and you were touching on it with respect to having a versatile. I mean, you don't know what the weather is going to be like when you're on the water. So
awesome. Sounds like our neighbor Bill just went by our house.
Bill, he says, I approve.
A few more questions as we're going along here. What is the turnaround time for prescription lenses?
Yeah, I would say that you want to give yourself about 10 working days, for that. A lot of it currently, super candidly, all that stuff runs through me. In fact, I just sent one in here about 2 hours ago that we just received, and I enter in all of the RX business here, sitting right here actually. And so it gets sent off remotely. They get shipped back to me, and I ship them from right here. I have to be right here in order to get this to be done right now. So we're working on improving that, but I don't know who asked that question. But if you give yourself, 10, maybe 14, working days kind of bit, we should be in a good place. And we're only going to get that. we're only going to improve from there. So,
well, it's Phil, and he says that he just bought some before ice season, so that sounds like it's pretty possible.
Phil, you got plenty of time, buddy.
yeah, you'll be good to go.
All right. Tobin is asking if they're like polycarb for hunting and shooting sports.
Yeah, so they're not polycarbonate. And we touched a little bit on polycarbonate. Polycarbonate is a great material. It's a very versatile material. It's impact resistant. It's lightweight. But the optical clarity in poly is just not excellent. So our product and our material is actually called Trivex. So Trivex, and Google it up. Trivex was invented in around 2002 for helicopter windshields. Actually, they wanted to improve the optical clarity for the pilots, and to do that, they needed to be impact resistant and whatever else. Well, what was a byproduct of it was Trivex. So Trivex has the same exact Abbey value as your eye. So for those that were listening, your eye has an Abbey value of 45, which is your optical clarity. This material is 43 to 45. So it's like this, it's the exact same optical clarity, but it's actually lighter than polycarbonate, and it's also impact resistant. So you don't have to compromise weight or impact resistancy for clarity any longer with this product. And in fact, during COVID, I was telling you about all the cool business stuff we did. One of the really cool things we did was my wife had to go get groceries or toilet paper or something remember we didn't have any toilet paper at the gas station or grocery store or whatever. So I'm like, all right, Dad's the teacher. So we did wood shop, we did science class, we did shooting, we did all this math stuff. And we made like a dummy. We called him Buster. It was a cardboard guy. My son drew out a picture of him, and I put a pair of frames in Buster, and I shot him at 15 yards with my 12 gauge. And the frame exploded, and the lenses were in perfectly good. I mean, they had pellet holes on them, but they didn't nothing pass through at 15 yards. And so they are very impact resistant. So they're not poly, they're Trivex, and they're actually going to give you elite optical clarity as well as impact resistancy and lightweight. So,
well, our buddy Phil says he's in.
Well, I like his first comment. 10 days? Say what? That's how I felt too. It made me all of a sudden start thinking, like, man, I do have old sunglasses. I want new lenses.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah. Now it's gonna take 4 weeks. I'm gonna look like a nerd, but that's where we've been. I mean, we can. Yeah. Anyways, that's where we got.
That is excellent. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'll be using them still in open water.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, no joke. I mean, it depends on where you're at, but and who knows? Last year I shot a pretty good buck last year, and it was like I was wearing a t-shirt. I think it was hot. So,
well, speaking of, as you and I are both bow hunters, Emily shoots archery. The fogging up can be a big hassle, especially for me. I'm a bigger guy, and like a mile walk in the woods, I get a little bit, sweaty, and the glasses fog up. And so is there something that you guys thought about for that?
Well, we certainly thought about it, and there are a couple of solutions out there. However, none of them work quite right yet. You have to have a hydrophilic product, which means it's basically going to take in moisture, versus a hydrophobic product, which is going to repel. And so all of our stuff has hydrophobicity, and so it like repels water and oils and stuff. And you have to give up one or the other. Now, we haven't solved that scientifically yet. I mean, you can get an anti-fog, but it has to be on a non-hydrophobic coating. So we just chose, I don't know if that's what we want to do, because it's super hard to clean. They get soggy. It's just not really that great. But we do have in the pipeline and in the project line an anti-fog, like a legitimate anti-fog product that would be able to be put on and be able to clean easily and things like this. So when that's going to be ready for the market, I don't quite know, but it is super high on the list in our research and development team. And we'll see. My partner is probably one of the more, profound thin film coating specialist in the world. He has a company in Southern Oregon called Quantum Innovations, and that's what they do. That's what we do is we make air coatings, mirror coatings, and all kinds of coatings. We sent stuff to space. We've done all kinds of really cool things. He now lives in Finlayson, which is up by Moose Lake here, about an hour and a half north of me. Business is still running out of Oregon, and he has that pretty high on his list because he wears glasses as well, and like all of us, if you wear glasses at all, you're going to suffer with that. So he wants to suffer because he wants to make it better for him. No, we know the value there. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and it is sounding like people are really liking them. James Sullivan put up a little review, and he seems like he really liked it. I'm not going to read the entire thing because it's honestly a little bit long, but it's a great review. So people at home, I would urge you to go in the comments. Yeah, check that out in the comments. If anybody else does have questions, put that in there as well, because while we are still together, we'll be able to talk about them. But I do have a few more while we're together. So as far as styles, like what do people have to choose from?
Yeah. Real quick, if you don't mind, I just wanted to circle back on the hunting thing.
Oh, yeah.
We talk a lot about the fishing and whatever. We do have an actual hunting solution, which is this product. I actually wore this in the stand myself. So you'll notice there's no reflection, there's no nothing. We have a patent out for what's called the concealment coating. And what we learned from the professors at LSU in Georgia and Pennsylvania is that avian species, in particular, the ones that we would target would be the wild turkey and waterfowl, have cone cells in the UV spectrum. So we see based on cone cells, right? You have them in the red sector, the green, and then the blue. And that's what gives you the ability to see color. And they have those same cone cells. So if you're colorblind, you most likely don't have like red, right? So that's gray to you. Well, they have a set of cone cells in the UV segment of the electromagnetic spectrum, and it allows them to see UV. But what's more important than being able to see it is they actually use it for survival. It's how they identify urine trails and patterns for predation. It's how they will identify maturity of birds for mating purposes. It's how they find bugs versus rocks. You know what I mean? It's how they bug and forage. So they use it for survival. And the presence of UV isn't the problem. It's the inconsistency. So if you're hunting waterfowl and you're looking up into it, they're able to spot those things for those reasons. And you can flare birds because you have reflection off of your face. So we have a product called Stealth Screen that will completely make everything matte black and camo in the UV, as well as these. So these look matte black. If you put these into a UV spectrum, they're completely matte black and will provide consistency in the blind or against the tree or whatever. And at 120 degrees, so 60 degrees of incident angle all the way around, because they never come right at you. So we have it at we have the patent supports that there is no more than 2% of reflection at 60 degrees incident angle. And so they're just black. So we have an incredible hunting solution. And that's actually how this whole thing kind of started. As far as styles, sorry.
That's just very cool. That.
It's pretty cool. And what my favorite thing to do is we take the UV cameras out and we illustrate how a bird sees in that spectrum at the shows. And so if you go to any of the shows, we're going to be at a bunch of them this year in Minnesota and around. Come and check it out in the booth. So we set it up and illustrate how a bird sees in UV. And you see this like light bulb of a face, that's there. And you take like our stealth screen and you put the stealth screen on, and it just it's like black goes on. Now in the mirror, you still go to church if you wanted to, but it's just matte black in the UV spectrum. You apply the frames, you put a hat on, it's all of a sudden you just completely have shadowed yourself, and it's incredible. And there's a whole science thing behind it. I won't nerd out on it, but supported by, like, I work with Dr. Collier, Dr. Chamberlain, Dr. Miller, and all these different professors that study this stuff. And they were pretty impressed. They're like, most people come in here trying to sell stuff. You guys are trying to make things that will improve, the hunting. Look, there's been plenty of birds that have been shot without glasses. That's not what I'm suggesting, that you need to have it in order you're going to, fail forever. But as things get tougher and they get wiser and they, those things absolutely can play into it. Not to mention, you still get all the benefits of the visual experience, right? It's super comfortable. You can look into the sky. You can do the thing and be comfortable and have glasses and know you're not flaring birds. So it's pretty cool.
Very cool.
That is actually really excellent.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say it's really cool. And I remember being at your booth, and you guys do have really an interesting demo.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It becomes a lot of fun. I love when we have the kids. They're just like, whoa, and then you can teach them science, and you can take them through some of this stuff, And I love them for whitetail hunting because, like I said, bow hunting. I mean, it's right there. So the thing I think is always funny is that the game is in front of you. You've been waiting there forever, playing whatever. I'm in Facebook jail now because I think James hacked me or something. I don't know. Somebody hacked me. And but I'm doing whatever. That moment happens, and now you can't use your number one asset, your eyes. You can be the best shot, you can be all this stuff, but if you can't move your eyes, there's all this stuff going on around you, and it ain't helping you. What you'd rather do is be able to wear, a set of eyewear that allows you to be able to, look left, look right, see what's happening without moving your head, and be able to hunt right in that moment. And that makes things a lot more interesting, I think. Took a little while. It took me about 2 hunts to get really comfortable with wearing it as a tool. It made me think of you when you said a tool. But I tell you what, I feel naked as a jaybird when I don't have them now, because you don't want to move my eyes. But anyway, styles. We have 5 styles right now, Emily. So we have our Tracker, Scout, Navigator, Advantage, and Sun Chaser. They're all available in black, and they're available in matte gray. So matte black, matte gray, and except for the Sun Chaser, which is available in pink and translucent brown as well. Our original target audience was the hunting community, and we knew we could pull through to fishing. We could pull through fishing, but we wanted to target hunting right away because that was the solution we have. So we have those 5. So there's like 15 SKUs, and then we're building out a new set, which is going to have a lot more color in it. So we're going to end up with 9 new SKUs between now and, really between the end of October and probably like March, April or so. And we're going to add a lot more color. So we've got like this one here we're calling Renegade. And this is going to be like a sunset orange, as well as black, as well as the camo. We have this one we call Artemis, which is a little bit more of your Wayfair, style, right? And then a bunch of other ones. So we're going to be adding some color. I'm even adding white. Can you believe that? I can't believe I'm adding white. But I am, because people like white. So we're going to end up with a bunch more styles and colors here in the next few months. Look at this. Can you believe people would wear this?
People will love that. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So that's what we're at with styles. And of course,
that is...
fit people, I just want to remind, if they don't fit them or whatever, no harm, no foul. Give me your Costas, give me your Oakleys, give me your, we got everything from Zenny to the best Costa stuff that's out there. And we put our optical solution into it. I mean, we're not that arrogant that we want to have our brand on the side. It's like, what can we do to solve this thing for you folks and make life easy for you? And that's what we do. And what's turned out is that this kind of happened by chance. We then learned what people like. So guess what these kind of illustrate? They look a lot like, or feel a lot like, a lot of the reloads that we've done. And number 2 is nobody is talking about Costa. Nobody's talking about Oakley. Nobody's talking about Zenny. They're talking about Relevant, because you gotta try these glasses on, or whatever. And so it helps build our brand. And most importantly, people are able to fish longer, hunt harder and longer and stuff like that. Enjoy the outdoors more. So.
I really like how, even though it's not like your personal style, like you're still coming out with things, because that's what we talk about all the time. Like, what's right for one person isn't right for everybody, and so hopefully there's something out there for you. Yeah. But there is a few more questions coming in. Phil wants to know if you plan to come out with a blue frame.
A blue frame, yeah. So let's see if this is blue enough. What do I got? Oh, the one I have. Wait a minute. This is black on blue. The blue one that I have is actually at the lab. I have a blue frame. It's gray. Blue. No, it's the one at the lab. So I took a sample of the different ones and I brought them to the lab to have them put lenses in them for test. and the one is the blue one, of course. So, yeah, that blue, and I wanted to show it to him, but I don't have it.
But there is a blue one, Phil.
There's a blue one coming, and then I also have a couple options that are going to be. I don't know if you can see this, but this is black with blue, right inside of it.
Oh yeah.
So this is a really cool style.
Hey
and
Phil,
then,
that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
and then I got the same thing here. It's black, but then it has the blue,
cool.
inside like that. So some interesting things like that are happening as well. The other thing we wanted to do is focus a little bit more on the female population. And so we have a couple that are very specific to females and the ladies out there. So this is a really cool frame. It's got this, tortoise with the blue. And then we have one that my wife dang near lost. I don't know if she can hear me, but that's this one right here. This is actually Relevant's rose gold in this.
Oh,
this
that's way cool.
This is our mirror, and you can see it's got the rose color on the bottom, and it's tortoise. It's super, super, super hot. It's awesome.
Yeah,
now,
that's way cool.
We talked about the Chameleon, but we also this is gray. We also make them in gray Trivex, and we have our brown Trivex. So some people don't want all the moving parts and whatever, and they just want gray. Well, we can get you gray, and we can get you gray with an elite optical solution in the Trivex material. We can get you brown, and we can do that in the Trivex material as well. So it's not just Chameleon. It's just that Chameleon has become the main thing that people have grabbed onto. So that's what we got there. What else you got? What other questions?
Is there a wrap style available for prescription?
All of our frames have got pretty good wrap. I don't know how to illustrate that totally. I don't have any of ours. I got some of them here. So this is like our tracker frame that we currently have. I mean, it's a pretty solid wrap, right? So we RX this thing all the time. This is a really popular frame. This is the Navigator. So this has pretty decent wrap, on it. This one actually has a floating. See this little green thing?
Mm-hmm.
Tip? That indicates that it's a floating frame. So we have this in a floating option as well.
Oh my goodness, that's actually way cool.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. Yes, the answer is yes. Most of them are wrap.
That's cool. Honestly, I like seeing you try them on because it gives me honestly like kind of a clue of like how they look and how they fit. And they all do honestly look like pretty good on you, but they all are a little bit different. And so yeah, that's a little bit funny.
A little much, right?
Oh my gosh, but that's actually really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So then as you have new things coming out, where can people find out about that? Where do they hear the announcements? Where do they see that?
Yeah, so the best way to be engaged in what we do is through our social handles, relevant.life. That's a funny story. It's relevant, like the word be relevant and whatever, but when I could never remember where the E and the A and like where all the vowels went. So we just got rid of them. And so relevant.life is where you can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. Those are the most common. Of course, our website is where most of the information, if you would be at. And that's where the ordering process happens. Most of what we do is currently online. However, I'm super excited to I don't know so much announce, but to share that we've started to build out now a retail program. So we're in the Shields St. Cloud store. That was a really fun experience. I've never worked in the retail space much, so they were just amazing, and they helped walk me through. Here's what we want to do. Here's how I want to do it. And oh, by the way, we're going to buy a bunch of stuff from you or whatever. And then we're going to sell all that stuff. So it was just so cool to be the community circling and serving the community. It was they've been amazing people over there, and I can't say enough about them. So if you're in St. Cloud, you can go try them on out there or at Westries Marine in St. Cloud. And we're working to build that out. We're actually going to have a presence in Southeast Wisconsin at the Real Shot. We're going in there as well. And now it's just kind of starting to happen. And I got a young man named Matthew who got a long story behind him, but studied what we did at his school and did an internship with us and all this stuff. And now he's employed. and one of his jobs is to build out that presence. So those are the ways to reach us. But if somebody on here is like, hey, this is where I'm at, or I got a connection there, or whatever, we're now equipped to handle those things. And so we would take in those inquiries, and the next phase of this is going to be to build it out into, we call them select retailers. Now we're going to add an E to it. We're working on a project that's going to be for the ECP. We really want to bring in the eye care professional into this and make sure that people understand that how important, getting an exam is, and how important all that process is. And so we're going to build out we are building on a project right now for the SIRS, the select ECP retailers. And so I would engage and encourage everybody to reach out to us and follow us, and stay engaged. Most of the times I'm the one handling it too for now, so you can beat me up if you need.
But that's awesome because you're pretty easy to work with. Talk to you. For sure. Awesome. Well, I know that I'm definitely going to be checking out your different social media pages, and I'm always really interested to see the ways that people are using their sunglasses, because that's always a pretty fun thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, here's the thing, Emily, and for your audience, please help us. I mean, honestly, this is how this company was built. So I talked about the pillar of science. I mean, science is a major pillar for us, but the other pillar in equality, if you see some of the stuff that we write out, is the community. And so the Chameleon name from the community. Advantage, Tracker, Sun Chaser, all these frames are coming out, Renegade, they're all names that the community has given us. And so we can't get that information. We can't serve the community, if you would, if we don't have that engagement. So I implore them, please, get engaged and tell us what we can improve on, tell us what we're doing well. And we just keep navigating this thing together, right? And not just as a company trying to serve a customer. This is the community that's trying to do this. So
awesome.
That is actually really awesome. And I know that if people have more questions, you can either get a hold of us, in the comment section here, and we can pass it along, or maybe probably not answer it myself because I don't know all that much about it. But otherwise, I imagine they can get a hold of you as well.
100%. They can friend me personally as well. Absolutely. Adam Winkleman. I mean, well, good luck for the next 3 days because I've been hijacked, but I will follow up those friend requests, and you can DM me there. Obviously on the relevant stuff, the same things. And I will, when I'm out of jail, pull this live stream up, and any questions that are in there, I'll be sure to, respond to it and make sure that people get the answers to the questions that they have.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, with that, I guess thank you for being here and talking all about this with us.
That's easy. Thanks for having me. I mean, this is awesome. I was telling you, I met you briefly at our coming out party, which was the Blaine Ice Show 2 years ago. And we had like one frame, we had 2 mirrors and the Chameleon Lens and just a bunch of energy. And so now we have this whole portfolio, and we're building on that, and we have this community behind us, and man, it's super great. And we are just honored to be here. I was so excited when I heard from you guys. So I enjoy what you do. Keep doing what you do. You're so great for the sport of not just crappie fishing, but for just fishing in general. And thank you for that.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you. And also thank you to everybody at home, because with all those questions and everything, that's always a great, it's just great knowing what you guys want to know too. So thank you guys for being here as well. And with that, looking forward to next week's edition of The Night Bite.
Night, everybody.